Chances are, if you've seen this by now, you have already watched the new Paranormal how-to video. I wanted to take some time to sit with you to discuss this new project. Frequently, during my years running this type of work, I've seen a lot of people make very simple mistakes. Some that can lead to legal charges, others who have led to life-altering events, if that makes any sense whatsoever. This series is simply meant to provide tools for you. I will try to provide as many resources as I can so you can continue this journey. If you decide to take up these videos for your own spiritual adventures, I have a few guidelines that you will need to follow if you're going to be able to do this right. Number 1, always show respect. Always be respectful to everybody you're working with, to whoever you're trying to talk to whoever may start asking questions if they accidentally come up on the scene. Always show respect. A lot of these paranormal shows will actually do what is called provocation. They will try to provoke whatever spirits are in the area in order to get a response from them. This is not appropriate. This is not professional. And it's downright risky. It is rare, but having something follow you home and causing you grief, causing you great distress in your life, is quite possible. And if you don't take the proper precautions, you may very well want to end up dying, because of what becomes of these types of situations is so horrible, so mentally disturbing. You might be institutionalized. Hell, you might even be institutionalized for trying to follow these videos. It's hard to say, really. Number 2, erase all prior dispositions. If you are the type that tries to claim that every ghost encounter, every measure with the unknown, is an encounter with a satanic force, if you do not take the time to actually listen to the stories and make your own suggestions, if you are the type to immediately discredit everything without actually any proper investigation, these videos will not be for you. I encourage everyone to take any and all claims as merely incident reports, even those that are in religious texts. And I'm not just including the Bible, the Quran, the Mahabharata, all the religious texts out there, all these ancient texts, because, what was I saying? Even when it comes to those religious texts, because they are merely incident reports. And if you follow my show, Specialist of the Strange radio show, I'm going to try to include a clip of the video or a link to where you can watch the podcast episode involving telephone theory, which by the time you're seeing this episode should already be available on all broadcasting venues. Except for Anchor, we're having issues with that one. I'm hoping to get that fixed soon. So, a little side note. For those of you who haven't watched, or I'm just going to include a brief summary. Telephone theory is based off children's game. Say you take a group of 10 people, one of them whispers something into the other's ear, and you're supposed to pass that sentence along to see how much it changes. I want you to consider this. If you're going to follow this, If you are going to be able to understand everything completely, I need you to follow this. Consider how much a sentence changes within 2 minutes, 3 minutes, maybe 10 minutes if you got a large group. Now consider how much those sentences, those phrases, or any stories may change over the course of a day, the course of a year, the course of a decade, the course of a few thousand years even. How much would those stories change? Even if you write them down, how do you know the person that wrote that down wasn't under the influence of something? How do you know that their mental state wasn't compromised in that moment to where they might have misconstrued the images their mind saw? How do you know that these weren't just freaky dreams? You don't. You weren't there. And unless you have some sort of special device that can help you see into the past, or if you're able to time travel, how would you know? These written accounts? Alright, that might be a good starting point. But again, take all claims as incident reports. Do not add your own judgments until you've done a thorough investigation. Many of these paranormal how-tos will include some of my methods, some processes you can use, as well as a few other notions. The simple stuff that anybody can do. I am just merely acting as a teacher, because I will not be able to walk this earth forever. While in some aspects that might seem cool, immortality would have one hell of a curse. You might see glimpses of pictures behind me of my loved ones. Wouldn't immortality be a curse, knowing that you will have to outlive everyone you've ever loved? Surely you can bring in new people, but only adds to it. I know I tend to get a bit sidetracked. So notion 3. Here's another thing I want you to consider. Rule number 3. Don't give family any special treatment. Treat them as you would as a coworker, as someone you would just walk into on the street. Do not let your family influence anything. And this can be something that is applied to more than just this. Maybe take their suggestions if they have done something like this before, but don't let them run the show. Oftentimes, whether it's artistic provinces, maybe you land yourself a role in the big feature film. You would expect your family to be there for you, to support you, to be your cheerleaders. But that's usually never the case. So be careful who you let in. Number 4, if you are able to, I know I said toss out any preconceived notions. This rule technically applies as an exception. If you happen to have any religious items, maybe a cross, something, or maybe you have talisman, something. I'm going to try to get out of the way of the light so you can see something like this. A talisman kind of like this. You can't really see it, but based off, this particular one is actually based off of the Lesser Key of Solomon. If you have any special necklaces, even if they're items for good luck, bring them. You will want to carry yourself some form of spiritual protection, because these things can get draining, especially if you use some of my processes that involve potentially tapping into latent psychic ability. Rule number 5. This may also go in with the preconceived notions rule, but I need you to consider this. Until further developments can be made, all claims of the supernatural should be considered devil's proof. In this term, the concept of the devil is actually merely a metaphor for what it means. Being that there is no exact proof that he exists, there is also no proof that he doesn't exist. So until we can find out more, until we can reach mutual conclusions amongst the spectrum of science and quote-unquote pseudoscience. If you follow my methods, these try to meet somewhere in the middle, to bridge the gap between spirituality and science. You may wonder how this is possible. It is actually very possible to do. But under the notion that any and all claims of the supernatural, ones that can't be, immediately tossed out as known psychological phenomena. Further videos I will get involved with what this will entail. As some of you who may be familiar with some of my previous works may be familiar with the Carrie syndrome. That may be the next paranormal how-to I decide to incorporate into this series. A lot of scientific communities will consider that a lot of phenomena such as cold spots, temperature fluctuations, uneasy feelings can easily be attributed to environmental factors and our mind's incredible ability to misinterpret a lot of information. Some of you may try to use this information to contradict all of my claims. And maybe on some level it does. I am not claiming to be a genius. I'm not claiming to know all the answers. All I am claiming is I've been at this for a while, and I've seen some shit you would never believe. Consider these notions, and you and I will get along just great. Be sure to check through the rest of my channel for any more content you would be interested in. I have included playlists that include some of my other works that aren't exactly mine to show off, as well as videos from my previous channels. I started this new one up just to kind of try to clean things up a bit, because I recognize that being that I did start these adventures when I officially start these adventures when I was still in high school, things got kind of messy along the way. But it's all good. It's all about evolving, learning, becoming better. So be sure to check through the rest of my channel if you're interested. Be sure to watch for more videos. If you would like, please leave a comment on any topics you would like me to go over. And I shall see you around. Take care.